Do I think they will win with 18 points ahead of Bayern, 17 points ahead of Stuttgart? No. Do I think they will always have the luck and the skill and the quality to always win in the 90 plus minutes? No. I think it's going to be a tighter season.
Hi and welcome to the Fussball Channel. I'm your host, Markus Fjørtoft, and joined, as always, by co-host Jan Fjørtoft, reporting live from a hotel room in Manchester following the PFA Awards yesterday. You are back in Norway. Having seen you, though, for breakfast this morning. Good to see you again. And thank you for yesterday at the awards. It was nice, wasn't it?
Great, the PFA Awards. I always say that it's the best award in the world because you are nominated, you are voted by your own, the players you play against. I mean, there's the biggest honor you can have. And it was a great night. PFA is a very strong organization. We all know that. And they also show that they can organize awards. And I enjoyed it. I ended up with a gang of Norwegians, my former teammates, Egil Østenstad, Alfie Haaland, of course. And it was also good to see Markus, and that is compliment to PFA, but it's also compliment to the two clubs, Manchester City, Arsenal, with all their players there. And I think it was very, very good that when they have the PFA team of the season voted by the players, all 11 players were on the stage. And what a team that was. A lot of Arsenal players, a lot of Manchester City players, of course, but there was Van Dijk, Watkins. I mean, fantastic team. And it was a great night. It's always good to meet people afterwards, old mates back in our days. It's not many meeting points we have, and that was one of them. But let's go for Bundesliga, Markus. A bit away from England, that.
Yes, but we have the Bundesliga coming up, and how excited we are for what we have in store. And I guess we can go right onto it, and we'll go big and we'll go kind of the most tabloid, but it is the title race. And what makes this season so exciting, I think, that is that despite in any other scenario, if you had a team that had gone unbeaten domestically, of course, except for the loss against Atalanta, meaning only domestic, if you had a team that had gone unbeaten, that was so dominant, had a manager in Xabi Alonso, who have been able to retain most of their players while upgrading with a couple of other players from Rennes and Girona, what have you, you'd have said favorites. But they aren't as clearly defined favorites as you'd like to have it, save if it was Bayern who'd gone through the same season. It makes for something very exciting. And then you have the new look Bayern. Then you have Dortmund, who I think have had a very good window. And then Stuttgart, who've also gone through a lot of got a lot of transfers in, lost some key players, but even still look strong. It's very exciting. And then adding in RB Leipzig as well, who have been able to retain Xavi Simons. They brought in Nusa. They have Openda. They have Šeško. That's what makes it so exciting. So I guess we can start in the top four, Champions, top four. How do you see that developing while we indulge in our predictions?
Well, Markus, it's your job now to steer me and manage me, because I will put them in a package of five. I mean, the top five who will be fighting for the top four, because there are so many different angles you can go into this. Because what Leverkusen did, winning the league after so many years, the dominance of Bayern Munich, that kind of opened the doors for everybody, doesn't it? That means Leverkusen winning it, meaning Dortmund can win it. They had the best transfer window. Meaning Leipzig can win. They are very optimistic. They kept Xavi Simons. He chose to be with them. He chose not to go to Bayern. There are so many things. Bayern got to go back. Normally when a team win, Leverkusen, they are hunted. But now in Germany, it will be Bayern hunted again. Because Leverkusen can say, rightly so, let's have a good season, two or third. Of course they want to win. Xhaka said, I think I was a brilliant interview with him I read the other day, and he said, I didn't come here just to win a trophy once a year. And I like that attitude from Xhaka. We will find, though, and you will say how you want to do it, but because we try to do this unplugged. I mean, there are reasons to believe that Stuttgart was second last season, not Bayern. They were 1 point ahead of Bayern. They have been losing players, but if I rewind you 1 year back, Markus, they lost 3 players. Before that season, 3 players who basically said, I can think when they left, wow, thank God we don't have to play against relegation anymore. Get away from Stuttgart. I'm not saying they said that, but that could be the feeling. And ending up being Vize-Meister, meaning that they were second in the Bundesliga. So I don't think Stuttgart will be.
Good point.
We'll do that point, but Marcus, you go through the team where you want to go through.
Yeah, well, I think on the Stuttgart point, I was thinking, how do you replicate a season like that? Will it be far-fetched for them to get second, or will it be hard? Yes, absolutely. Will it be impossible? I don't think so. And the reason being is you lose Guirassy, you lose Anton. I'm losing someone. Pardon?
Ito.
Yes, and Ito. So you lose Ito, Anton, and Guirassy. But then you look at it and you say, okay, who have they retained? You have retained Dennis Undav, who you made on a permanent in Germany's Euro.
Great business.
You got Demirovic from Augsburg, the Bosnian, who Augsburg captain, who I think is a great signing. Quite a lot, close to the 30 million euro range, but even still. You've got Jeff Chabot, the center back, who's coming to replace the likes of an Ito and an Anton, who they got in a bargain, a very low release clause, no nonsense. If you want to look at a kind of a traditional center back as such, they've gotten him. They've gotten a young Franz Kratzig from Bayern, who they got on loan, who missed the penalty, unfortunately, in the Super Cup, plus a range of other players from Rennes and Feyenoord and what have you. Couple that with Sebastian Hoeneß, I actually think they can have a pretty good season in store. Now, if we bundle it together as a 5, compare it to the other teams, will they make that top 4? Tough. I definitely think they'll be up there. I think they'll have European spots. I think it might be a bit tough for them to get in there, but it's the same if we can compare it then to a Dortmund, for instance, who have a strong window, who've brought in Guirassy, who've bought in Anton, who have bought in Bayer from Hoffenheim, who had a very good season, was in the Euro squad as well. Pascal Gross from Brighton. That's what we have to compare it to, and whether that will be enough for someone like Stuttgart, and whether that Dortmund's window will be enough to see them fight at the very top.
I go straight into it. I think Stuttgart will be number 5. That's my prediction. I think they will get out of that.
Stuttgart. We write that down.
Stuttgart, write that down. Although Sebastian Hoeneß, one of the most promising coaches around, he will surely get a big job, and no disrespect to Stuttgart, but I think that you need time to build up that culture. If you then use Dortmund as an example, and now I put up my glasses, as you were saying, they have a great transfer window with Bayern and Guirassy. They're kind of getting so many goals in, which is amazing. Guirassy now being injured in the first games, but he still be around. And you have the likes of Anton, and as you were saying, Marcus, they have had a good transfer window. What I do see as a problem with Dortmund is that we touched on it in the last episode, is how is the management? When will it? The Sven Minslav, head of recruit, Sebastian Kehl, who is the head of sport, so to say. Then you have Lars Ricken, who is the CEO of sport. Then you have Watzke over there as the godfather kind of German football in so many different positions. And then you have an advisor, the consigliere, for those who know their sopranos and your godfathers, in Matthias Sommer. So there's a lot of things going on there. I hope, of course, because they play the first game of the season against Frankfurt, that they will have a bad start. But I think that Dortmund will be up there. So I will put, and Şahin, Terzic is out. Terzic took them to the Champions League final. But 5th place in the league is not good. Everybody thought the main challenges to Bayern got to be Dortmund. And when the rain ended for Bayern, it was Leverkusen. So I will put Stuttgart on 5th, and then I will say Dortmund. I think they will do a 3rd. I think they will be 3rd in the league. I think hopefully they will lose against Frankfurt the first game, but then they take a revenge and win 9 games in a row. But the first game, I think they are struggling against my Frankfurter. But I think that Dortmund need a good start, because a lot of things in the upper floors. And Şahin, as a coach, one of the players I rate most. I loved working with him. It's a great to interview. And I hope for him that he will have success.
Yes, and with a Sule back in form, he, as we saw the pictures from last season.
Be honest, that's Sule back not being too fat. We had allowed to say that in our. I mean, how can you
but you said it.
how can you let yourself go? But he's back now. He's fit. He's much quicker than we think, and he's back there. It seems that he will play the first game of the season. So we wish him all the best.
Exactly. Sule and Anton at the back. You have Schlotterbeck probably a left back. You have Arias on the right, and watch out for the striker, Julian Duranville, the 18-year-old Belgian, one to watch out for. You have also Bino Gittens, who's also on an upward curve, maybe put in a bit in the shadow in the Rückrunde when Sancho came, but for him to fully thrive. And then you have a Sabitzer who had a very good Euros. You have an Adeyemi who's got a point to prove as well. A lot of exciting, but it's the mentality aspect of it as well. But yes, Dad, what?
Yeah, I just may I say, Pascal Gross and Palinha, both Dortmund and Bayern have got 2 number 6 in, and I think they will be very vital for both teams. 2 of the best signings of this transfer window, I think. Pascal Gross, yes, he has the age. Frankfurt were after him as well, but he's been a Dortmund favorite all his time, and it's also Dortmund got more money. Let's be honest to put in there, but still, fantastic signing for them. I think he will be very valuable. And I will also make a big shout to an underestimated player who's always there. Is Brandt, Julian Brandt, who will get his goals, who will get his assist. But I will have Dortmund at 3rd.
And between 3rd and 5th, then?
It's 4th. It's RB Leipzig. I rate Marco Rose highly. They just signed Antonio Nusa, Norwegian. Played in Belgium, was very close to go to Brentford, on a medical. Now he's fit as possible, as he could. He's coming there, just to remind people, he's 19 years of age. He got 7 games for Norway, got a goal. He's one of the most promising youngsters in Norway, of course. But it's also a player that is not coming in to kind of replace Olma 1-to-1. This is more, he can end up being Olma, because I think what he has done, and his great Atta Akeke, who is his manager or his agent, the Norwegian, what they have done, they've gone to the place that he can develop. RB Leipzig knows that, and they got a lot of youngsters. Šeško could be up to have a breakthrough season. I mean, he chose to stay. Xavi Simons, PSG property, choose to stay, although they haven't bought him. That is great optimistic views for RB Leipzig. So news. I hope that they don't put everything on his shoulder, but he could be a player that can get a goal, which he did in the cup. He came in, scored after 1 minute. So I think that, and if you pair them with the experienced player of Leipzig, I think they have you mentioned it at the beginning, Markus. Forsberg won't be there either. There was a part of the season he was there last season. But you have a Paulsen, you have a Klosterman, and what I all called. So yeah, I put RB Leipzig on 4th.
Yes, RB Leipzig, I think on their day could be beat anyone, of course, have retained some players like we've said. In that cup game, you had Šeško, you had Openda, you had Nusa, you had Simons, all scored. That is the best case scenario. Incredible, exciting team. Remember, Olmo is a loss, yes, but first half of last season, he was not much present. He was injured for much of it, so they know how to play without him. Also brought in arguably one of the most exciting players in Germany, in Hassan Ouedraogo. Excuse the potential mispronunciation, but played for Schalke all of last season. Started when they started the season, was their youngest ever player at the time. Extremely exciting, compared to the likes of a Pogba in many ways, good in tight spaces, but question marks about how actually deep that squad is. And when you're competing for a potential title and Champions League, you want to go further than their last 16, it might be a bit tough. We'd have then number 1 and number 2, Dad. I don't know how you want to announce it, but who will be Bundesliga champions?
Yeah, I will still keep them as a 2, and then I will conclude with who I think will win.
Okay.
And I have to put on my glasses, because maybe but I can say who in for Leverkusen is a Terrier from Rennes, who is a left midfielder. Garcia from Girona, as you were saying, central midfield. Betocian, is it also for Rennes? To make the to make the squad deeper. You remember Alonso is a coach that loves to use his squad. We've seen that many times. Certainly Boniface was on the bench, Wirtz was on the bench. He only played all the time, more or less, with Xhaka. There were games that he were out, but still he can do that. Seems that they will keep Jonathan Tah. That has been a saga when Bayern apparently said that if we sell De Ligt, we will buy Tah. Then they sold De Ligt, nothing happened. Caro, the CEO of Leverkusen, said, I would never do business with Ebel again, the head of sports of Bayern. And then he said, sorry, I thought there was nothing called iPhones in 2024. I forgot that.
We discussed this in the last episode. For those who want to know more of that, the clinch.
Exactly. It's typical soap opera in German football. And the last thing I saw now before I get on, Markus, is that, and that could be a consequence of them keeping Tah, is Topscorer, the central defender. Apparently Newcastle are talking to him because they were been after a defender, haven't they? And they haven't got Guy from Crystal Palace. So yeah, but I think that they are okay. And then you have a look at Bayern Munich. They sell De Ligt. Also in the last episode, for those who wants to hear the background for that, I was with the agent of De Ligt yesterday. I congratulated her on a great deal, but I also congratulated Bayern not making a good deal, because I think De Ligt is the best central defender they do have. Then they sell Masraoui, they sell Tillman. Well, he is going to PSV. They took in, I calculated, Mark, they took in 72 million euro on those three transfers. We know that Bayern have been told, or Max Ebel and Christoph Freund has been told to raise money if they get in. Olise, Palinha, Ito, Zaragoza. Zaragoza he was on loan, so they have to get him in now. That is 140 million. So at the moment, they've taken out double as much as in, which we know Hoeneß doesn't like. But I think that Olise will be a hit. New coach, of course, with company there. Palinha, I said it, he will be having that 6. It seems that he will take Kimmich in that role around him as well. So that's going to be interesting. So to see what they do. You have your Kane, you have your Müllers, who will. We know that, but what I try to say, Markus, is that the last 2 weeks, I think Bayern at least will sell 1 or 2 players, but everybody knows they have to sell, and that's maybe doesn't make the deals as good as there. We said in the last episode, I think that the Bayern thing with Vincent Kompany coming in, great lad, great attitude, what a career he had 1 year good to the championship with Burnley. I think that there will be a lot of problems in Bayern. I think that we will see they starting in Wolfsburg. It started straight away. If they lose that, if they have a bad game, and so on. It was nearly in the Pokal, yes, in the Cup. They have to start that. So my winner of the Bundesliga, the reigning champion, Leverkusen, or the challenger, Bayern Munich. Only to say the challenger, I think the Leverkusen will be the champion. Do I think they will win with 18 points ahead of Bayern, 17 points ahead of Stuttgart? No. Do I think they will always have the luck and the skill and the quality to always win in the 90-plus minute? No. I think it's going to be a tighter season, but I think that Leverkusen will win the league and Bayern will be the Vize-Meister.
Leverkusen to retain the title.
Yes.
I kind of entertain that same idea as well, just because I don't think Bayern have it all figured out, despite having a rejuvenated Gnabry. You obviously have Musiala, you have Olise, you have Sané, you have Matis Tal, who I think can have a big impact. And then it'll be interesting with Kane. And that brings me into the next one, and that is the Bundesliga top scorer. We saw Kane. We were discussing last season whether he'd beat Lewandowski's goal-scoring record, etc. Was just not enough. Despite Bayern having a disappointing season, Kane scored plenty of goals and contributed on his part. And then come Euros, he looks a bit heavy, maybe a bit fatigued, what have you. Having said that, will that be enough for him to not be Bundesliga top scorer or not? I think you have some good candidates. You have those in RB Leipzig. You obviously have the Dortmund. I think if we're discussing top scorers, it's going to be with the top teams as such. Do you think Harry Kane will retain his top scoring title, Dad?
Yes. And you'll learn, Marcus, never ask yes or no question, but this was a yes or no question.
I know, I know, but then I was like, I built it up.
Yeah, you did. But now I think that that Kane will be the champion, the Torschützkönig. the Goldene Kanone, that is called the top scorer title in Germany. I think he will that because Bayern will score a lot of goals, and you just named the players there. Wow, the players he got in and around him. So even last year, with they being third, he will win it. Then you have Guirassy, you have an Undav, you have a Šeško, but I don't think that Leipzig. If you score, I always thought I was a goal getter back in my days, and I always thought that in any competition in training, in any five-a-side in training, I should always be the top scorer. I should score the most goals. In games, I was always thinking, if I didn't score the goals, I had to be close to the one who scored it. Why did I think like that? But first of all, that was my hunger of goal. But secondly, then I knew I worked hard, and the consequence of being in those positions made me score goals. So the share of goals that he will score in Bayern, Šeško can score a higher share of the goals of Leipzig, but they won't score enough goals. So I think that Šeško will score a lot of goals. It was interesting last season because it was Guirassy on 28, wasn't it? If I'm not wrong, I think I in my head I had that Guirassy and Bayer together had 42 goals, which Dortmund have signed 42 goals minus Füllkrug, who goes to West Ham. So for me, sometimes football is math, because that's the table, that is a goal we're talking about. Yes, so I think Harry Kane, to make a long story short, will retain it. He will be there, and it's a part of Harry Kane, Marcus. He looks sometimes a bit heavy, but that is just the way he plays. He is that kind of heavy kind of player. If you see an Erling Haaland who is taller than him, he seems lighter because he's more explosive, but they still got that magnificent skill to get themselves in goal-scoring positions.
I'll be a bit contrarian then. I think one of the Leipzig strikers will be top scorer. You mentioned Šeško. I think Openda had 28 goals in total last season. I don't know. I think he can give it a real fight for that. Well, I see Guirassy up there. He'll score goals. I don't think he can replicate what he did last season, where practically he scored more goals than games at times. That leads me on then to surprise team of the season. Or surprise of the season. So I'm keeping it up for a player or a team. I want to give an honorable mention to a club that I think is a very historic club, who I think disappointed greatly last season, being a mere 1 point above the relegation or the quali spot, and that's Borussia Mönchengladbach. And the reason I say you obviously have Seoane there, but if you look at the lineup and what they've also been able to bring in, I will make my case. Obviously, a very disappointing last season, but you've brought in Tim Kleindienst from Heidenheim. At Heidenheim, he had 12 Bundesliga goals last season. We remember how well Heidenheim did. So good, in fact, that they went to Europe, where they play the Conference League. At this matter of speaking, they will be playing Hacken. You brought in Stöger from Bochum, who is basically the orchestrator of the Bochum team, and one of the main reasons why, spoiler, but I think Bochum will go down. They've not only lost him, but they've lost Osterhage to Freiburg as well. So, which will be tough. And then they got Sander from Holstein Kiel. But I think if you add those to one of the most exciting players in the league, Rocco writes, you have Weigl, then you are getting towards something that I think will at the very least better the status of the team from last season. I think they have to do better, and we are used to seeing Gladbach, you in your time, seeing them win Bundesliga titles, or maybe before, but even still, seeing them in Champions League when I was a kid. I'm not saying they will go there, but I think they will do better than we saw from them last season.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I will also make a team, but I want to Gladbach. Maybe you made your case good. They need to come back now. They can't be in the relegation zone. They are like a potential club that can do a Schalke, do a Hamburger Sportsverein. The league had already started there with Stefan Kunz now in Hamburg, and we will follow them coming back because it's a very well-known club. I will go Mainz. That is because of the coach Bo Henriksen, very energetic. I think they were 13th last season. And if you saw the average points that he took, that could be a threat.
A good shout.
Yeah, and I think that they could be going up there at least come like having a go at Europe. So they will be in that bracket 6th to 10th, the best of the rest. There will I will put Eintracht Frankfurt, my club, and I have to show you, Marcus. I was at Frankfurt. I was one day at the club, spoke with Markus Krösche, had a good chat with Dino Topmöller.
I haven't seen this yet either, so I'm curious.
It's a new shirt. So I will.
That's nice.
I will change the and I got number 9, of course. That's my back in the day. So I will keep that up there. I will do that afterwards. So I have this as a background. So yes, I would say Bo Henriksen. 3 Danish coaches in Bundesliga. I hope I haven't forgotten any. Bo Svensson by Union Berlin, Torup in Augsburg, and Bo Henriksen in Mainz, which is it's amazing. Then you have Thomas Frank in Brentford. What do we have? We have nothing. So Norway. So big shout for Denmark, but Mainz will be my surprise of the season.
No, it's a good shout. We, as you alluded to, the last 9 games of the season, they went undefeated after that 7-0, 8-0 loss to Bayern. Watch out for Amiri in the midfield. Was it formerly at Leverkusen, former Germany midfielder. And with Kroos leaving, who knows? Maybe there is room for him. It wouldn't be the most outlandish thing to have happened. With a surprise team of the season or surprise of the season, there will always be the counter. There will be the disappointment of the season, whether player or team. I can say quickly, I think it's unfair for me to say disappointment, but because of how well they did last season, I will say Heidenheim. I just think it will be very tough for them. Is it then fair of me to define it as a disappointment? I don't know. They obviously lost Kleindienst. They lost Jan-Niklas Beste. They've lost Dinci as well. So I think it's back to reality for them.
But I think you make your case good, because the second season is always good. Frank Schmidt, the coach, has been there for ages. I think that he will do well, and there are other teams that will do better. You've said Gladbach, I said Mainz, meaning that they will have a good season. I will also put in, just to mention, Union Berlin. They got Bo Svensson from the start of the season. Horst Held, my mate from Frankfurt, also my colleague from Sky, where we did Sky Corner together. He's now the Geschäftsführer Sport, meaning the CEO of sport there. So it's going to be cool to follow them. I remember they had a bit dip after they were playing Real Madrid in the Champions League, which was unbelievable. But I think that for me, the disappointment of the season, I think that it's hard to say that, because I think you make a good case of Heidenheim. But should they? I don't think we can maybe define that as a disappointment. It's the same to say if Stuttgart goes from 2nd to 5th, is that a disappointment?
Yeah. Union is probably more, I think, having, it was very dramatic last season, and they stayed up in the most dramatic of fashions on goal difference. Yeah, will we see them improve much? I think it will be a big season for Bo Svensson. A big season for a lot of players to prove themselves. Someone like Kevin Folland, and then you have Vogt and Khedira there, who will be the leaders, who will try and keep it all together, while you brought in some new players, but not significant enough. And then you have a potential Gosens there, one of their best players, if not their best players, being linked now to Palace and Glasner. It will be tough for Union Berlin as well, I think. So should we define it? Union Berlin.
Union Berlin, I think they will do better, Marcus.
I thought you said disappointment.
No. I think they will do better.
Okay. I think they'll be disappointment. You think surprise. So that's good. Yeah,
I think it's good. It's good that we have a bit, because I think they will do better, because I got a better structure. I will just, before we got to land, and we're going to take the relegation, who we think will go down. But I think Streich, after like 200 years as coach at Freiburg, unknown coach, not unknown in terms of player, because Julian Schuster is a legend at the club and he's been there for ages, but he's just, they're doing as they've always done there. They just take one of their own, making him the coach. So Freiburg is a very interesting season. I was mentioning Jens Torup, who is in Augsburg. Augsburg is one of those teams. You can talk about Bundesliga for like ages. You can talk about all clubs, and we always forget Augsburg, because Augsburg, we think that they should be up there. Why should they? The history of this club. I mean, I think this is trying to make them a compliment. Augsburg is always there. They're more or less always around there in the middle. They're nowhere land, but they're living good in a nowhere land, because the nowhere land is Bundesliga. So a great compliment to Augsburg to see where they will end this season. But they won't have anything to do with the relegation, Marcus. Should I start with the relegation, or have you forgotten any prizes?
No, we have a few individual things, but let's go into relegation. So we got that covered.
I will go very clear on that and put on my glasses. I think that there will be Bochum, it will be Kiel, it will be St. Pauli. There is no reason in the world that Kiel should be in the Bundesliga. Again, a compliment hidden as some critic, because Holstein Kiel is a very, very small club. Even for Norwegians, for us, this is the place we go with a boat from Oslo to Kiel, to Germany. St. Pauli, just up the road. Hamburger Sportsverein is not in the Bundesliga. St. Pauli is a fantastic club. It's a hipster kind of club, cool club. Everybody loves that club, but I think it's got to be not good enough. Having said that, Hürzeler, the 31-year-old, he went to Brighton, and everybody thought, 31-year-old in Premier League. I wonder if what he is thinking this week, beating Everton 3-0 away from home. He said, what is all this thing about Premier League? That was so easy for us. So we had a good start. They got in a guy called Blessed. And a guy called Blessed, meaning he's been 2 times coach of the year in Belgium. So that is, it's not a bad replacement in Union Saint-Gilloise, something like that. But I think that Bochum, Kiel, St. Pauli will go down. As you were saying, Bochum has a weakened team, and I think now it's time for them. But for those who don't know Bochum is that kind of working hard kind of club. They know straight now, if you talk to the manager now, if you talk to Seidler, he will say, we know that from day one, it's a battle to not go down. That is the problem with other teams who go down in that sump, and that's why Hamburger Sportsverein and Schalke are in the second league, because they didn't get that. So but 3 have to go down, or 2 plus 1. There's going to be a relegation playoff, of course. So those are my 3.
So I think maybe St. Pauli will maybe struggle a bit less than you think, but they have lost Fabian Hürzeler. In comes Alexander Blessin of the RB Leipzig school. You'll see a team in which will play a 3-5-2. They have Jackson Irvin there in the midfield, their captain. I think that they will be able to not replicate a Heinheim at all, by no means, but I think they'll be more comfortable. And then I'll replace the St. Pauli with Heidenheim. Simply because they haven't gotten enough strength in. Holstein Kiel, I think, will be tough. I think there will be a Darmstadt-esque, simply because, like you say, they have business stay in the Bundesliga. Of course, they deserved it. But from a sheer resource standpoint, no. Also worth mentioning for us, they have Norwegian, Magnus Knudsen, who used to play Lillestrøm, who plays in their midfield, 4 Scandinavians in the squad, and an old blast from the past, I guess, in their captain, Louis Holtby.
So what you're doing is that you're saying that because statistically, one of those teams going up will have a great season. So you say that is St. Pauli, and then you will say Heidenheim the second season is always hard. So fair enough.
Follow a well-known script that.
Okay.
Going towards the end, as we conclude, just a few of some individual awards as such, or predictions. It would be mostly a young player to watch out for, or a best signing. In terms of signings, that we haven't also spoken about Eintracht Frankfurt. Eintracht Frankfurt have made some signings as well, and I'm not by no means trying to lead you on here towards what would work, but someone that we maybe share our excitement for would be Ekitike, which we love to pronounce. And one of those good signings, it doesn't have to be the one signing you think will be the best, but worth a mention at the very least.
Absolutely. As I was saying, I was there, watched the training. He's one of those guys you love to just watch in training. They got him permanent now. Markus Krösch, the head of sport of Frankfurt, I will make a case as he is maybe the best head of sport in whole Germany. Remember, he took Muani for free. 1 year later, he sold him for 95 million euros. Now, this transfer window, he took Pacho 1 year ago for 9 million, I think, to the club. Now he's sold him for 40. So this is a guy who knows his deal. When I was there, everybody said, yeah, and Dino Topmøller was fun because I came to training and he said, oh, hi Jan, good to see you. If you turn up last season, I wanted a striker, but now I need a center half. That was before they signed Theater, the last signing of them, so they should be fine there. But as you were saying, Markus, Ekitike scored 2 goals in the Pokal in the cup now. They won at Braunschweig. That was a bit like, yeah, okay, Dino Topmøller. If you're a bit, I'm not saying this under pressure, but under pressure from the media and the people around you, then you want to have a good win. It was 0-0 for a while, and then they ended up 4-0. They also got Rasmus Christensen in on loan from Leeds. We remember him from Salzburg. They got a Dane. They got Oskar Højlund, who is the brother of Rasmus, young kid. They had in training, Marcus, you will love the training. They have 4 teams. It was a German team. There was a Scandinavian team, and there was kind of French team and all that. And the Scandinavians won, of course. So it was a good session. So I think that Franco was done well. As for the signings, I think that I will more say that Dortmund is the winner of the signing sessions or the transfer window this time with Dortmund, without mentioning any name, because Bayer is a smart thing. Guirassy is everybody knows that he was a good player, but to get him out of Hoffenheim, our friend Alex Rosén, my friend, he got fired at Hoffenheim. That was quite new. He's done a fantastic job there. But I think that we haven't mentioned Hoffenheim, but Hoffenheim could be one of those on the disappointment kind of thing in this Bundesliga season.
Absolutely. And with you having covered the signings, I will just say a few young players to watch out for. A few exciting ones at that. I mentioned Odrago at RB Leipzig, a very exciting young player who will fit that RB Leipzig recruitment. Yeah, a very exciting player to follow, good in tight spaces, and part of the Germany setup in the youth teams. You have Paul Wammer, who's on loan to Heidenheim from Bayern, their youngest debutant, if I'm not mistaken. A shifty player at loan at Elversberg last season, and will be taught, I guess, senior men's football as such, further so under Frank Schmidt. A very tricky, nice player, started in the cup as well. Follow him, 18 years old. You have Kaan Özcan, on the topic of Eintracht Frankfurt, who'd had a fantastic season in the Zweite Bundesliga, 18 years of age, has already made his debut for Turkey. Watch out for him. And then, last but not least, a Werder Bremen striker who came from Schalke. Schalke doing very poorly on the pitch, but they do develop some good players, have a good history of developing players with Özil and Sané as well, of course, to mention a few. Keke Top, the striker, who's 20 years of age, scored a hat-trick in the cup against Cottbus. He could become a bit of watch out for him, a goal scorer. They predict that he could be like a Füllkrug-esque for Bremen. He's a Werder Bremen fan and what have you. Watch out for those 4 players, and obviously there's plenty of more as well.
Just before we came on today, Manuel Neuer has retired from the German national team and he's been there for 15 years, 124 caps. Lothar Matthäus will be happy. Now all the Kroos, the Gundogan, the Müllers, the Neuer have ended their career, meaning that his 150 games for Germany will stand. And I think we covered the most thing, Marcus. The only thing that I got to think of is that Leverkusen lost the champion. They lost Stanisic. He was on loan by Leverkusen. 1 year loan. Now he's going back to Bayern, meaning that he weakened a bit Leverkusen, making Bayern a bit better. I still think that Leverkusen will take the title. So that's my last words.
You heard it here. Leverkusen, Bundesliga Champions 24-25. That always a pleasure to go through the Bundesliga season with you and how we look forward to it. And we'll speak soon. And auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.